Hey everybody, Joe Reed here from Subterranean Annihilation. I'm here with Sam Caterine, a real good friend of mine and a local musician from Pocosin, Virginia as well. Uh, Trying out a new thing, Virus Chats. I'm gonna do like a little podcast thing, video podcast, I don't know, what do you call them? But yeah, everybody's really bored, so we might as well keep ourselves entertained in the underground. Shout out to Wakia Water. I get this at Wawa every day, and it's the best water. And if you want to endorse me, I'll gladly take free volcanic water. And it looks good going down. Look.
Is that what it is? Volcanic?
Yeah, it's Hawaiian volcanic water, naturally alkaline with electrolytes.
How the fuck did they get that in a bottle?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, and it weirds me out too because it's like, if it's volcanic water, or like, okay, so what it says is premium by nature. Waikea, I think I'm saying that right. Volcanic water originates in Hawaii through both snow melt and rain on the pristine summit of the active Mauna Loa volcano, one of the purest environments on Earth. So my thing is like, are they just taking like massive buckets and like scooping this shit and like putting it in bottles, or do they make sure that there's not like fish poop in it, or I don't know.
Seems like a heavy risk.
I know. I guess Fiji's been doing it. That's just from Fiji, Mount Fiji. I don't know. My dad and I took and when I was 23, we went to Denver, and then we took the tour of the Coors brewery, and like it shows you where they get the water for it. And I was like, well, that makes sense why Coors sucks. Is because it's like, it's just like a huge basin of water that the snow melts and it comes down, and then like they just take it from there, and like people are taking pictures and stuff, and like you could just spit in it, like but they don't like purify, they just like use it. They don't. It's like, goddamn, like you just have this water out in the open, and then you're just gonna put it in a beer can, and some asshole's gonna drink it.
It's hard.
But yeah, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about like some of the noise stuff you've been into, because like when I met you, the thing we connected on most was like European gore grind. I was like, holy shit, someone else around here likes European gore grind. And so that was cool, and obviously we like that, and we like basically all the same type of music, death metal and black metal and stuff, and we've been listening to like a lot of war metal, whatever you want to call it, anyone, like bestial black metal.
Right.
We all know.
I feel like we both have like a pretty wide taste when it comes to music, for sure. So I feel like we definitely feel the same on a lot of stuff. And like, yeah, you definitely helped me like definitely come up with some new ideas as far as like, I guess you could say like kind of noise music. I don't really know what else to call it, but you showed me that one band. I feel like an idiot because well, it's not. I don't know if it's a band. It's like a project. Something, man. Or no, Death
Anxiety.
That's what it was.
Death Anxiety. Yeah, they're sick.
You're like when it comes to noise stuff, this is stuff I really like. And like I was definitely listening to a lot more things like Third Organ, just pretty far out there stuff. But that was the first thing that was really kind of, I guess, rhythmic and stuff, and it just gave me a lot of different ideas. And I was just at me and my girlfriend's old apartment. This was a while ago, and I just started going with it. But I kind of thought of imagery first, and just like different things that were going on. And back then, like the whole what was it, Alabama? I think it was Alabama that they were banning all abortions. And
yeah.
I was like, well, that's pretty good subject matter. So I kind of went with that, and then it just kind of evolved to just a look, I guess you could say kind of a harsh look on Christianity or American Christianity. And it just kind of, like exaggeration to things that really happened, and but I didn't want to sound like somebody else. You know, I wanted to do something different. And even though I would have to say not a ton of people really liked what I put out with that, one thing I can say is it was different. It was kind of a different genre of its own. And, you know, I just kind of, you know, when you get creative, you get in that kind of weird manic headspace where it's literally all you want to do. And I just rode that headspace out. And sadly, it kind of came to an end. I don't know why. I kind of felt limited, I guess, where like before I felt like, wow, there's a lot of creative things I can do with this. I can really stretch my mind out. But after a while, it sort of felt like I was being limited by the subject matter. So I just kind of, I don't know. I could come back with it, but.
I mean, to me, that was like, because you were talking about like, you know, your manic thoughts or whatever, but to me that kind of was like, because your TV53 project.
Right.
I know that you probably use the same software, right? Yeah. So like, I could hear elements of like where you were going, like within the noise, as far as like, because I've just heard a lot of your trip hop stuff, and I feel like that had a little bit of influence, even if you didn't know, like at the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I wanted to put kind of some like. Sounds crazy, but like some hip hop element to it, because I don't know. I mean, I'm not really embarrassed by it. I've been listening to rap music, hip hop music probably since I was like 12, and like making beats since I was like maybe like 14 years old. And it just like, I don't know. I thought it was a way different angle than what other people were coming from, and just like trying to make that sound depraved was just kind of an interesting thought to me. Not to sound super pretentious or anything, but it's just like I don't know. That I guess like yeah, I think in one way you're kind of right, because on one hand I think it was kind of subconscious. I was just so used to programming music like that.
Yeah.
When the other when I could really hear that type of influence on it, I didn't really hate it, you know. Because something that kind of bothers me with a lot of, I guess, noise music or power electronics or something like that is sometimes there's not much of an impact to it or a kick, and it's just like I felt like the hip hop element sort of thing was just kind of, it really added that punch to it, and I don't know, that's what I liked about it, is that it, like there's more kick to it, I guess. And just angrier.
Yeah. No, it was angry as hell, for sure. Angry
because,
as hell. I love it.
Not to be a shit talker, but it's just like I don't really get much out of just like random noises and some artsy dude talking over an echo filter.
I know, me either. I like, when I was in high school, well, the first time I heard of noise music, I was like, you gotta be kidding me, right? Like, noise.
Yeah.
But then, like, I looked more into it, and I mean, the first dude I found was Merzbow, or Merzbow, however you say it. And I listened to it, and I was like, you know, there's something to it, because it does, like, still evoke something, like, an emotion, like music should.
Right.
But I couldn't make it through maybe a minute of it. Because then I was just like, oh, dude, I'm getting a headache. Like, you got to listen to it at, like, really low volume to, like, stand it. Like, because I have, like I was telling you, tinnitus, where, like, you know, it's probably from years of band practice and, you know, loud music, but I just constantly
yeah, dude. If I had that too, I would not be able to fucking listen to that.
I don't know how the fuck you don't have that. Cause like,
yeah, I don't either, because I've been abusing my ears for a long time.
Everybody that I've talked to says that they have it. Like, my wife has it. Everybody, like, you're the first person I've ever come across that says that they don't hear ringing in their ears.
You know, I'll have that, like, kind of like in the movies where you just hear it all of a sudden, you're like, what the fuck is that? But like, as far as just like a consistent, at least, I don't know. I guess I just don't have it.
You're so lucky. You're so lucky.
I think I've definitely lost some hearing, which sucks. That's kind of scary, but like, yeah, luckily I don't have that. And like, I totally feel you on that, because with like some noise, I feel like sometimes the selection of the noise that they're using is just not well thought out. They just do whatever. And I mean, I can respect that as far as just like, I don't really give a fuck. I'm just gonna do this, and like, that's cool as shit.
Yeah, I always respect that.
I've done that with a lot of stuff, but it's just like, I guess even though I don't have a lot of listeners at all, I pick out the noises very specifically, believe it or not, because there's some noises I like because they sound very intense and violent, and then there's some noises I think that are just absolutely annoying.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, that doesn't really evoke anything in me. That doesn't really. So it's just like, I don't know. It's all, I get, I can't fault anybody because it's all fucking preference, especially with the music I make. It's definitely not. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I really think about it before I use it. And there's still a lot of shit I put out that I'm like, God damn it, that does not sound the way I wanted it to. But I try my best to get out what I want, honestly. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's cool, man, because like I subscribe to your channel, so I'm always seeing stuff pop up like every day. Like you come up with something every day, almost, it seems like.
Yeah,
and
I have to, or I'll go crazy.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I mean, I feel that. Yeah. That's why I've been doing this, like, with, Sam. Everybody knows, we say Gusto, but everybody knows him as Sam Fox. So that's why I've been doing this with him, is because it's a good outlet, and you'll go nuts if you don't do stuff like.
Oh yeah.
I've been writing so much music, and I don't know. Me and my wife are like essential personnel, so we have to go to our jobs still. But
right. Well, I mean, thank you for that, honestly, because unfortunately, I had to.
Don't thank me. Thank her. She's a pharmacy tech. All I do is make roads. Who gives a shit about what I do?
People like her, I could be fucking dying right now. I accidentally stepped on a fucking wooden skewer the other day. Went like 2 inches into my foot. Dude. I had to get like a bunch of shots. Yeah, it was bad.
Ow.
It was bad. I don't know. I always get hurt somehow. So.
God damn. Wooden skewer going 2 inches into. Oh,
yeah, it was
that.
Fun. And I didn't even know how bad it was until I tried tugging it. And, like, the skin didn't even go up. My foot just moved. I was like, well, this is fun. So I had to get somebody in my family to yank it like that. It was crazy. Crazy.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Ow. Anyway, what were we even talking about?
We were just talking about... I think we were just talking about music, And the funny thing is, it's like... I really, first and foremost, I'm a piano player and kind of a neoclassical composer.
A great piano
player. But it's like, I appreciate it. I'm okay. I should be better by how long I've been doing it.
I've never met a better piano player, Sam.
But, for some reason, I really wish I had more of that need to compose music like that and play that. But it's just, the sad truth is I feel more of a need to make electronic music, whereas whatever that is, because I'll go back and forth making kind of like horror soundtrack stuff, then to like that crazy, super violent noise stuff, to hip hop music, and it's just like, it's weird. It just comes in crazy waves. And sometimes I'm so unhappy with what I make. Other times I'm like, I'm pretty happy with that. So it's a roller coaster for sure.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I I think it's awesome because like I could tell what mood you're in by what you put out on your channel.
Yeah, yeah, I can be pretty blunt, I suppose, with either titles or imagery or just how it sounds.
Yeah, how it sounds for me, like I decipher that shit just because I know you so well. But like,
Yeah, there's some tracks I put it out, and then like 3 hours later, I'll look at the title and be like, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna change that because that's way too self-deprecating or just fucked up. Because I'll be feeling really bad about myself and make something, and But I definitely think as like people who make stuff, everybody's pretty guilty of that for sure.
yeah, dude,
But
I'd say just put it out and just don't worry about the backlash because it's your art. Fuck whatever.
yeah,
Fuck whatever people.
I guess the only reason, sometimes I do, because I'm not really shy about it. I had like, I've been clean for like a year, over a year and a half, I suppose. I had really bad substance abuse problem and depression, back and forth, and I guess sometimes I don't want people to think like, oh no, he's starting to fucking crack again and like stuff like that, which I can't blame him.
Right.
And it's just like I think it's happened to me a couple of times, and maybe that's why I'm so paranoid, because someone would be like, what's going on with you? I'm like, no, that's just how I deal with emotions like that.
Yeah.
But you're right though. I mean, should I really care? Not really.
No.
So I'll have to definitely take that into consideration.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I know what you're saying though, because like sometimes I'll make jokes in person, going along with like what you were saying with like, is he okay or whatever. Like I'll make jokes or like I'll be extra boisterous when and they're like, uh-oh, he's manic again.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, no, I'm just fucking, I'm kidding. And like, I totally like shut it off. I'm like, okay, I'll just be quiet now because like, yeah.
No, that's basically exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't know, it's like I love just doing what I want as far as creative outlets go, but at the same time, it's like, I'm in a serious relationship with my girlfriend. I kind of put a lot of people through hell being a fucking crazy nut job drug addict. So it's like, I don't know, kind of a back and forth. But at the same time, I think a lot of people, at least, they're kind of used to me being fucking crazy when it comes to titles and imagery and stuff like that. So they kind of know better.
Yeah. So and people that know you personally know that it's just you coming up with stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And I never, it's not so much that I care about offending people, but as far as just like straight up like vulgarity or just stuff that makes people like, what the fuck? It's almost like, I feel like there's not a lot of depth to it. You know what I mean?
Like, oh yeah, I definitely know what you mean.
I think something's easy. So much more disturbing when you can read into it.
Yeah.
And you have your own kind of answer to what that means or how that kind of reflects on you. That's just how I feel about it. I mean, there's some people that put out really vulgar, fucked up shit that like I'm still kind of like, wow, that's pretty awesome. But like, it's just like. I feel like it's a lot more fun to figure out something that's like, oh wow, that's fucked up when you really think about it, rather than something that's just like face value, just like oh.
Right. So, easy punches is like, why,
Yeah.
I feel like Anal Cunt did that, and they did that, and like, why would anybody else who does that kind of stuff is just like, okay, they got it from Anal Cunt,
right?
And I know you and I love Anal Cunt, but like, because
Seth Putnam is.
Well, yeah, it's offensive. It's offensive. It's vulgar. It's whatever. But like,
it's actually the funny thing is that growing up, there were a lot of people that were like, oh, I fucking hate how Anal Cunt sounds, but I love I love how they piss people off and stuff. And I always kind of felt like the opposite. I was like, I
Yeah.
could really care less about how they piss people off. I think it sounds just,
Well,
is this hateful? Is this
the sound attracted
crazy?
me before I even knew the titles or how fucked up
Right.
like
I
the
was like,
story
this
was.
is
Like
nuts.
that was like one of the first times I'd really heard a grindcore blast beat. Was
Yeah.
on one of the songs, and of course I didn't know what he was saying or anything. I just felt like you could feel like the hatred and like you could feel like the intensity of it.
Right.
And
It's hard.
yeah, and like so I started listening to a bunch, and then I started reading the song titles. I was like, oh shit, and like, but I was in high school, so it was so funny to me.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's one thing that I don't, you know, not to like offend anybody or like not to get under anybody's skin. You are entitled to your opinion, but my thing is like, it's a joke.
Right.
So like, if it's really offending someone and it's really like, then change the channel. Or
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, I have definitely had similar thoughts as far as our subject matter goes. I mean, like, there's certain limits.
yes,
Like, as fucked up as that sounds, there's certain limits. Just as, but I mean, like, extreme fucking limits. Like, let's say somebody makes a song title about a specific person, and the lyrics are instructions on killing this certain person and why. That's a little, that's kind of going pretty nuts, and that starts affecting somebody. But as far as just like, what really fucking pisses me off is that when somebody even puts a disclaimer or stuff like, this is something that is going to make people feel, certain people feel pretty bad, or might mess with you, and people choose to ignore that and then go ahead and fucking watch it. It's just, then you're choosing, you made that choice, and it just, that kind of pisses me off, because I lost, I like to make like short films and videos and stuff, and I had one completely taken off the face of the earth because somebody, and there was nothing sexual or real violence, anything degrading, nothing hateful said about anybody, any group of people, but just gone because somebody thought it was too scary, or I don't even know.
that's ridiculous, man.
Yeah, because because like, you've seen the videos we make, it's so obviously fake. I mean, honestly, it's goofy shit, and it's just, it meant, but at the same time, as goofy as it was, it meant a lot to me towards the time, because that was pretty close right after I got, caught on fire. I almost burned myself to death. Was out for a year and a half. That's kind of how I got by, and somebody just, it's too scary or too fucked up. It's just like, damn, man.
Yeah, it's not like you were putting it on national television.
No, and that was the very odd part about it, because I mean, it either like slightly blew up overnight and I didn't notice, or it was just how it was with like 400 views, which is nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, barely anybody's watched that. So as far as like, it was confusing more than anything. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't.
Yeah, man.
And say it's my fault though, for not backing it up, and that's why I took all that shit, on private, so I can just back it up now, because I'm not taking the risk.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that sucks. But I mean, like, like I said, like it's everything offends somebody. I mean, I try not to be offensive. I'm a sensitive person. Like, everybody my whole life told me I was very sensitive. And I was like, and then I'd get mad. I'd get sensitive about that. I'd be like, what do you mean I'm sensitive? It's like, you're proving your point. But, like, I get it. Like, I don't think you should, like, fuck racist. Like, fuck if you're a really, like, an actual racist. Fuck you.
Yeah, of course.
But, like, or, like, if you, like, okay, everybody knows I'm in Cripsest. We're fucking we do terrible subject matter. Like,
the fact that the T-shirt says sexual deviant.
oh yeah, of course that's not gonna sell. Those aren't gonna sell. I know that, but it's a cool T-shirt. Cause like
Yeah, it is.
that's the thing about gore grind. That's the thing about gore grind anyway. Oh shit, you have one?
I can't fucking remember where I put it, but sorry, what are you saying?
No, I was saying like that's the kind of the thing about gore grind is like gore grind makes shirts where you're like not supposed to wear in public. I know Trey does anyway. He doesn't give a fuck.
What's crazy about nowadays is that the musical genre is called gore grind. Gore grind.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. And I mean, even just like generic titles, death metal. It's called death fucking metal, bro.
Yeah, it's about death.
It's crazy shit.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, it's like at a certain point, it's just like, why are there fucking people now trying to edit something where it's something that's extreme? And it's like, I have total fucking respect for somebody who's like, you know, that stuff really bothers me, so I don't listen to that stuff. I don't like that stuff. That's,
yeah,
dude,
good on you. Good on you.
For being honest, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just like, when you're one of those fucking people who spends your whole day picking out outfits and trying to look cool and climb your metal fucking social ladder,
oh, God,
and just
dude.
putting different shit down because it's too dark or too... Dude, fuck you. Go join a fucking, you know...
yeah, I know.
Go join a fucking social club.
Yeah.
You know? That's not what it's about.
I know.
I don't know. You know,
I feel the same way, dude. Because it's like...
Yeah.
I don't know. You can't please everybody, and I just don't like the fact that it's like metalheads policing other metal that they don't like. I don't know. Like it's like you know.
You can say the same about hip hop too. I see it all the time, where you know this young dude who's from a really bad. I mean, America's one of the most dangerous places in the world now, dude. Our fucking bad neighborhoods are bad neighborhoods. And somebody's talking about something from a bad neighborhood that he's experienced, and then all these fucking white people that go to grad school just come down on him. It's like, dude, fuck you. You haven't been through anything. Why are you telling this motherfucker what he can't say?
That's how I feel about that, and like that's a great example, but that's how I feel about everyone. You don't know what they've been through.
Right, exactly.
You don't know what they're thinking. You don't know what mental disorder they might have. Right. You don't know, like, they're trying to express themselves artistically somehow, and as long as you're not hurting anybody else or doing an activity to hurt someone else,
right? People don't realize.
Then I don't see what's wrong with it.
People don't realize outlets. You know?
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, which would you rather have somebody putting out something that you have absolute freedom to not look at, to not listen to? With most of the stuff that we listen to, look at, barely anybody's looked at it in general, you know? So you have to really look for it to even get
yeah, it's underground.
affected by it. So it's just kind of lost my train of thought.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Well, it's just people don't realize that a lot of people succumb to pretty bad things when they can't emotionally express themselves or have an outlet. I mean, I just watched this really good French movie called Our Children. It's basically, I didn't know watching it, but it's about a real case of this woman that murdered her fucking 3 kids, which sounds fucking horrible on all fronts. And I mean, despite whatever, it is horrible, obviously. But through the movie, they really paint the picture of just how fucked up of a situation she is, and how that could easily make anybody go crazy, being in a fucking place where you can't express yourself, where you can't fucking, you know. And it just, I really enjoyed that movie because it really shows, I don't know, it really shows that we're not above environmental factors. I guess that, you know, as smart or as understanding as we think we may be. It's kind of like in the Holocaust, there are these people called the Sonderkommandos. And the Sonderkommandos were Jewish people that the Nazis put on to execute other Jewish people.
Really?
Now,
I did not know about that.
Yeah, now, if life was a movie, when the Nazis came to those Jewish people and said, look, we're going to make your life a little bit easier, not that great, but a little bit better than everybody else in the Holocaust. In the movies, the Jewish person would be like, fuck you, I'm going to die for my family and stuff. But that's not real life. Real life, those conditions, when you're really in those fucking conditions, that's when you know what those conditions are. And a lot of people these days, at least in my, I lack human experience with a lot of stuff, but there's some people who especially lack human experience. So it really shows what an environment can really do to somebody, what choices they make, and how far, those morals that we grow up with, they can bend, to not suffer.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
So,
I took a class on that in community college. No, but I did. It was really interesting. Experimental abnormal psychology. I'm not an expert, but
oh yeah, I mean, of course.
They did so basically, and I've read that they did a real test, and I've read that it was fake. So I'm not sure, but it's a test where there's a student. It's all students, but there's a student and a teacher, and the teacher asks a student 5 questions, and he has to answer them correctly, or has to remember 5 things, and if he doesn't, he gets an electric shock, and
right.
Yeah, okay. The teacher has to administer the electric shock, but the voltage keeps going up, and he's starting to hear him scream and yell, and they think that it's a memory test, but it's a experiment to see how morality goes out the window under certain conditions. Will you keep shocking this person because you're being told to, or will you stop the whole thing yourself and be like, no, I'm not doing this anymore, this is insane.
Right.
And it was
and as far as I remember, not many, if any, people stopped, right?
3 stopped. 3. I think the majority of them stopped 75% of the way through, and a lot of them just did the whole fucking thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, man. That is crazy. I mean, just everybody's different, and you don't know people. You don't know people.
Oh yeah.
They fool me all the time because I'm a facial expressions kind of guy. I think I could read people with their facial expressions, which is an ignorance on my part because.
Well, I wouldn't say it's an ignorance. I think that's a pretty natural.
Well, yeah, it is natural, but I convince myself no, they smiled at that moment, so that means that this and that and it's no, that's how sociopaths trick me.
Right. Well, yeah, predatory people are really good at giving what they want as far as expression and what they say and what they do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a different world to me, too, so I don't know,
Yeah.
But it is fun. It's interesting to think about,
Sure.
So.
I think so, too. It's just not fun to see
No, it's not. No.
No. I've spent a lot of my life in and out of sober houses, so I've met a lot of people with different faces, and just a lot of different people.
Yeah.
And I feel like as teenagers, we're all a little bit attracted to the idea of somebody being sociopathic, or it's kind of romanticized where it's like, wow, he doesn't give a fuck, he's crazy. But when you're really when you really have to deal with those people, it's a pain in the fucking ass.
Yeah,
because
dude.
it's just like, it's not even so much that they don't care, they literally can't comprehend certain things.
I know. And it, like, there's different types of sociopaths, to where it's like, you got the smooth motherfuckers that are just gonna, like, fuck you over without you even knowing. And then there's, like, there's the crazy ones. I don't know what I'm pointing at. There's not a sociopath over here. But there's, like, the crazy ones that, like, nothing is their fault. Nothing. And they'll and they'll lie to your face, to deflect, and, like, but they can't help it. Pathologically, they're liars. Pathological liars. So, like, even if they're lying about something you witnessed 2 seconds ago,
right.
It's not them, and they didn't do it. And that shit is so fucking annoying. Dude, I worked with someone in my last company, and he was weird with this pathological lying. Because not only was nothing his fault, and he wasn't even aggressive about it. Usually they're very aggressive about, like, oh, no, that wasn't my fault. He wasn't. He was just like, no, I didn't do it. But not only did he deflect like that, he would make up lies about other people that did not benefit him or anybody. So he would, like, someone took a day off work, and he was like, oh, they're applying to this other company. I think they're trying to get back. And he wasn't, like, sneaking around telling them. He just was like, oh, yeah, I think he's applying at this other company. And the guy comes to work the next day, and we're all like, hey, are you trying to go back to blah, blah, blah? And he was like, no, I had a doctor's appointment. So we were like, why did he even say that? And then, like, when me and my other coworker left for this new company I work for, he was going around telling everybody that we were trying to come back, and we weren't. So, like, we were getting calls like, hey, you guys trying to come back? You couldn't handle it? And we were like, no, it's been a week. It's been 1 week. So, like, it's weird how, like, people just have to do it.
That guy sounds sick.
Yeah, but he was so nice. He was such a nice guy.
Sure
yeah, like, just paid no mind. Like, nothing seemed to bother him. It was weird. But then he would just lie about stuff for no reason. Like, usually there's pathological liars that are like, ooh, if I lie about this, then I'll get this.
Right, there's some sort of game.
Yeah, this guy, no, he just liked telling people stuff. It was weird.
I've known somebody like that too, and I honestly couldn't tell you what that's all about. It could be compulsive, maybe.
I think so.
It could be compulsive, but yeah, I kind of, I'm one of those people that I don't really necessarily think anything's really textbook. It's just like psychological textbooks kind of point out, certain ways to help people with certain types of traits. You know what I mean? But yeah, there's some people I knew either from doing stupid shit or living with them to try to not do stupid shit that I felt bad for them, because it's just like they seem so they just seem out of control. I mean, it was just their life. And it wasn't so much just drug addiction. It was just like, even though drug addiction can definitely make you sociopathic, I mean, I'm guilty of that. But
I don't think, not to cut you off, but I don't think it makes you sociopathic. I think it makes you learn how to manipulate to get what you want. Yeah. Because I've been there too, not to the same extent, but I've been there. So
because it's like, no, you're totally right. Because I would feel a lot of guilt about things I did, but still deal them, and I think that's why people get so depressed.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, some predatory people, I do feel bad for them, because I mean, it's just this revolving door of prison until they're stuck in prison, and they don't know better.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. literally a birth defect for a lot of people. I mean, sociopaths is they're made, it's nature, nurture. But,
Yeah,
psychopaths,
it's
they can't help it. They just.
yeah, it's a lot of people who, or at least this is coming from me. It's coming from my dad, who he's a general psychiatrist, but generally people with like antisocial, certain things like that. It's they're already kind of born with some not so great personality traits, and then they face early childhood trauma. So it's a whole wonderful package
Yeah.
of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It sucks. It's really sad.
yeah,
But
it does. That's why
happens.
I feel bad, but at the same time, a long time ago, I was in this very toxic, drug fueled relationship, and a lot of it was kind of me feeling guilt and kind of seeing myself in her, and like kind of trying to. But you have to realize, you can feel bad for somebody, but still not, you know, engage
Yeah.
with them or communicate with them or anything.
Right.
I feel like the way about a lot of things, like even with people that I was friends with, that I used to do a lot of bad shit with, we can still be friends,
Mm-hmm.
even if I'm not communicating with you or engaging with you. I don't see why that means we can't be friends. It's just I'm living differently.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing for me. It was because,
Right.
like, and we've talked about this in the metal community, it seems like if you don't drink, then you're a weird motherfucker or something. So it's like,
Right.
and I think that's stupid, but, I used to drink and I used to get fucked up with everybody that I still hang out with. And that was like the
Right.
hardest part. And I'm sure you can empathize, is like, you're still around these people because they're still your best friends and they're still
Right.
doing what they're doing, but you can't judge because you were there.
Oh, absolutely.
And like, of course, we always want them to be okay. You want everybody to be okay, but that they're on a different path than I am. They're still my friends. There's still a reason. Like, if the only reason that I was friends with someone was because of drinking or pills, then they're not friends.
Right.
Like,
Right.
you got to connect spirit, like, with your heart, like, to someone, and then you could be friends with them forever, no matter what they're going through, and you can help them out with stuff, and like.
So I feel like for different people, there's like different solutions. I feel like we found kind of a similar solution, whereas we can see the friendships and stuff and not have substances tied into it at all. But I guess certain people, unfortunately, they just can't. They can't really fuck with anybody that does anything anymore. And it's like I respect that, because that's fucking hard, dude.
Yeah.
Like we're like me and you and like my other friends, we're like a family. So it's like that's you know, and but I think the key difference is the people I'm around, who still get high or drunk. They smoke weed and get drunk. They're not fucking railing out dope or fucking bath salts or stuff that I
Right.
really like.
Right.
To do.
There's
I
a
mean,
point.
I really like smoking weed. I was one of the biggest potheads probably
Me
ever.
too.
But like
Me
at the
too,
same
man.
time, I'm kind of coming from the place where I'm like I'm not gonna fucking sacrifice everything for a fucking hit of pot.
Yeah. No. Same here.
So it's just like I think it just has to do with people's comfort. I think it has to do really with what your whole addiction or whatever was about. Because I'm somebody who, I don't know if I'm right or not, but I think it's kind of bonkers to say everybody's addiction is exactly the same when we're all different people with all different memories and perceptions.
Right.
I just think that's crazy. So I feel like to just give somebody a set instructions on how to deal with something instead of helping them come up with their own. You know what I mean?
There's definitely a difference between like set instructions, which some organizations do, and then there's pushing people in the right direction as far
Right.
as like maybe you can do this and, like, you know, emotionally help out. Let me pause for a second. Alright, sorry about that.
It's all good.
I had to check and see that this was recording, everyone, and also get a banana.
I just ate a banana. Dude, they're great, man.
They're so good.
They're fucking lifesavers, dude.
Yeah. Dude, being outside all day, like, another reason I'm, like, pretty stoked that I'm essential, and, like, I'm sorry to anybody who's, like, freaking out right now, because I'm freaking out about other people, but I'm not freaking out about myself.
Well, yeah.
And
I'm pretty much on the same boat.
yeah, because we're young, and, like, this couldn't have happened at a better time. I went plant-based, like, last December, I guess at the end of last December, because I got a really bad blood test. And it was like, if I don't straighten up, I'm going to have a heart attack in my 30s. And I was like, fuck that. So, like,
damn, dude.
Yeah. So I watched that if anybody's watching Game Changers on Netflix. Check it out if you want, anybody. But basically I watched that and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll try this. And I'm saying it couldn't come at a better time because I took a blood test 2 weeks ago and everything was fine.
Dude, hell yeah.
Like, my cholesterol was still a little high, but it was only 5 points high. So, like, everything else leveled out. And, so I'm healthy as a motherfucker. And that couldn't have came at a better time now that we have the plague again. So, like, I'm not really worried. And, like, I'm glad kind of I'm essential personnel and with the job I have because I get to be outside all day and I hate being cooped up. So.
Yeah. It's like with my girlfriend, even though I'm worried about her, she's a real hard worker. And it's like, I know she'd probably go crazy not working. You know, I'm kind of going crazy.
I can imagine.
Yeah, because I had 3 jobs. So, like, it's a huge fucking change. But,
yeah, that's an adjustment, man.
I mean, like, I guess, like, maybe I should. I guess it's just because, like, me and my family's being pretty paranoid about it. I can't blame them because we're taking care of my grandmother with dementia, and that's why I have to be here.
Yeah. Because
she will die if she gets this. It's pretty, you know, and the thing is, she die alone because we can't, you know, there's no more visitors in the hospital. We can't have caretakers here, so I got to do what I do, you know.
Yeah. And that's really noble. It's really good of you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. There's some parts of it that really suck, but it's just, you know, she took care of me. She raised me for a little bit during a bad time in my life, so yeah, I do it. And sorry, where was it? Oh, I mean, I was on, you know, when I got burned, I was on a ventilator for a long time, so I feel like maybe I should be more worried than I am.
Yeah.
But it's just like I don't want to be, especially if I'm already being extremely precautious. What's the point, you know?
Right. And so, I mean, it's a crapshoot, honestly, because I don't know what the symptoms will be.
Well, nobody has any idea what's going on. The craziest thing about this whole thing to me is that there's people with such definite opinions about what's happening, when the experts are like, we don't know what's fucking going on. You know, I mean, they're finding out different shit every day. So it's just like, I don't know.
There's a coworker of mine, and I love the guy, but he's one of those definite answer people. He comes to work with like, oh, they found this out, which means this and this and like, and he goes on for like 20 minutes about like, and it's like, oh, you made some good points, but you don't know what's going on, other than the next guy, man.
Right. Exactly. None of us. I mean, shit. My dad's a doctor. He's a pretty prominent doctor, and like, you know, he has a lot of friends that are disease experts, and they different disease experts give him different answers. So if that's not
you know,
Yeah. They still like they're still figuring it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, only time will tell if we can stand the test of time.
Yes, no kidding, dude.
I think that's I don't know, that's a lyric my wife always laughs at. I forgot what song it's from. Only time will tell if we can stand the test of time. She's like, no shit.
That's a really redundant statement.
And another redundant lyric is, I just want, it's my life, by Bon Jovi.
You talking about Bon Jovi?
Yeah.
It's my life.
It's now or
Now
never.
or
And, oh yeah, when he's like, I just want to live while I'm alive.
Oh, yeah. Doing coke 24/7 does the
Come on, man. That was like, you're getting paid millions of dollars to come up with that.
The best part is people fucking love him too. They're like, yeah.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
Boom, boom.
Bon fucking Jovi.
Yeah, that shit is funny. But, yeah, man. This is fun. I think I'm going to keep doing this.
Yeah, this was really fun. I had a really good time.
You and I can keep
Even
doing
if
this.
it wasn't recording, I would have had to
Yeah, cause I was like, oh man, I hope this is fucking recording. It was 45 minutes later. I was like, you know, I've about maybe 2-3 minutes into this whole thing when we started, I was like, oh fuck. I hope that it's literally recording. And I've had like anxiety in my fucking brain this entire time until I asked you, like, let's take a little break here. Let me cheat. So, like, this whole time I've been like, yeah. Oh, shit. I'm like...
I know exactly what you fucking mean. Because you know Trey just as much as I do. When we were filming More Dead Witches, we did that, that part where his heart explodes in the snow. And the first time we did that, I wasn't recording, and you didn't have a jacket on or anything. I was having, like, the worst anxiety about telling him. He was so bad, dude. I couldn't blame him. It was horrible. He was so bad.
Like, oh, fuck. You can't do that scene again.
Yeah. I can't even remember how I brought it up, but it was...
Man, that is funny. But yeah, I kind of want to keep doing these, like...
Yeah, you should.
Because it's, I don't know, I've been watching, like, as you know me, like, more than a horror nerd. I like my horror movies, but I'm a comedy nerd. Like, comedy nerd. So, like, I've always been a huge fan of Ricky Gervais, like, and his podcast that he did with Carl Pilkington, and then this past year I re-listened to, like, all the original XFM things where they, like, first met Carl Pilkington and, like, had him on their radio show, and then that, like, led into looking at more, like, I started listening to Joe Rogan. Because I was like, man, he's funny. I don't know why people give him so much flack for, like, I don't know. That's why I quit Facebook. If people give misinformation. Joe Rogan's podcast is great. But, like, and then I found out there's a whole slew of them. Like, all your favorite comedians or stand-up comedians have their own podcasts. And it's so... Yeah, so, like, I've been listening to Tiger Belly a lot, and that's Bobby Lee. You remember from Mad TV?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, he does one with his girlfriend, and he just invites people to his house and talks to them. But, like, it's a podcast, so I guess it's broadcast on iTunes or whatever, but I watched, like, the videos.
No idea how that... So it's just like a live thing on iTunes?
Well, not live. But
just recorded conversation.
Yeah, basically. And like, there's a podcast app, and I never used it until this past year. But like, cause what got me into it really was my boss was like, on long trips to stay awake in the car, listen to talk radio, because like something that engages like some part of your mind where it keeps you, you know, alert. So I started doing that, and then I was like, oh my god, there's a bunch of stuff out here that's really cool. But check out Tiger Belly and Your Mom's House, which is Tom Segura and his wife. And they do this thing called Two Bears, One Cave, I just found out. And it's Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer just like talking. But it's hilarious. It's kind of like
I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah. So I wanted to do something like that for like underground music people.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's a fucking great idea.
Yeah.
I feel like it. It's just like definitely a lot of interesting things to say, you know, and interesting people. So it's like.
Well, I've always been like bad at talking to people, but I realized that I wasn't bad at talking to people. I wasn't interested in what they were saying.
No, you're not bad at talking to people, dude. You're good at talking to people.
Yeah, that's the thing, though, is like I have very few interests, but those interests I can expand on for hours. Yeah. And like, I like music, well, very specific music, comedy, and you know, I don't know. That's about it. So, I could talk all day about stuff. Like, I'm one of those Metal Archives nerds that's just like, oh, he was in this band? Well, what other band was he in? I'll check that band out. So, like, I don't know. I feel like I could shoot the shit with anybody in the music scene. Just because, and I could talk about drums, guitar. I can't really talk about playing bass because I can play bass, but I'm not a bass player. I wouldn't call myself a bass player. But, like, yeah, I could talk about all that. I can't talk about gear, really. I'm not a gearhead. I know very minimal. Like, this year...
You probably know a lot more than I do. I don't know. You're a fantastic drummer and guitarist. You know a lot of fucking shit on that. I don't know anything about that. But.
Well, I just plugged in and played. Or I just, like... I didn't even know you could tune drums until a couple years ago. So really? It's like, oh, you just fucking play them. But, like, yeah, this past year was the first time that I took a guitar apart. I had an old guitar that didn't work, and then my grandpa bought it for me. And I was like, I'm going to do him some justice and refurbish it. And I took the whole fucking thing apart, and I tried to figure out, like, any way possible to get it to work again, but my dumbass cut the ground wire. So, like, the pickups that I put into it, I have to use active ones or whatever. So, anyway, I bought active pickups. I had to learn all about, like, what those are compared to passive. And I had to learn how to hook them up, and I learned, like, but now, like, I'm pretty good at, like, picking apart guitars or like figuring out what goes where and shit now. I don't know. It's all about like just tinkering with it. But that was literally so. Other than that, if a guitar broke, it was dead, and I had to go get another one. Like.
Yeah, dude, I wouldn't fucking know either. Like, a lot of people would ask me if I could tune their pianos. I'm like, I don't know. That's why they pay people so much to tune pianos. It's complicated as fuck.
It looks like it. I can't even imagine.
It's complicated as fuck. That's why people get paid so much to do it. But those strings are fucking dangerous. I don't know. I've heard. It at all. I don't know if that mixes into tuning it at all. If there's danger there, but it's just.
It snaps and it goes into your neck.
Yeah, they cut people up with them strings.
Jesus. Like Hereditary,
yeah.
just like...
Yeah, piano wire, man. It's nasty. Nasty stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, cool, man. Thanks for talking.
Oh, yeah, of course, my dude.
Thanks, everybody. It was great talking to Sam Caterine.
Thank you.
From,
Picosin.
what do you call it? Cosin. That's what you call it.
Picosin.
Joe Rita here from Subterranean Annihilation. Yeah, thanks for watching.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I was thanking other people.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're good. It doesn't matter. Thank you.